Hello and welcome back. Sean here, Mountains Garage. On a beautiful Thursday afternoon, the sun's going down. It's been snowing overnight, then it kind of cleared up, the sun came out, then it snowed again, and now we got a sunset. So a pleasant mix. I have been working off and on the 47 Ford pickup project, bouncing back and forth between the engine and the chassis. And spent a lot of time hunting for parts, but we're doing okay. For starters, this is a rear sway bar, anti-roll bar, synonymous, means the same thing. Way back, my last drag car even, I put an anti-roll bar on it. Yes, it makes the whole experience better. Cars go faster, more controllable, etc. But I miss the days. For instance, Pro Stock, when they leave the starting line, the right rear quarter panel's almost on the ground. The twist, that was cool. And that's how my car was with the Lenco, but I fixed it, by putting an anti-roll bar in it. I'm surprised the Race 55, built between 1992 and 1995, has a sway bar on it. That was ahead of its time, I guess, because I'm not sure exactly what year they came on, but it was 2008 or 9 when I put one in my car. So anyway, your typical drag race, weld your own sway bar setup. The kits, such that they are start at over $200. You get a hollow piece of tubing and probably some weld together arms, just a couple of flat plates and some pieces of tubing, and you make, it has a bunch of circles in it, and you got to weld up the whole arm. Stepping up to aluminum levers and a spline shaft, that's quite a ways up the food chain. I was shopping on Speedway, and they sell parts for all kinds of different racing, and they list this as a universal sway bar. It's a fixed width because it's splined, and the fixed width is 26 inches, happens to be, my overall frame width is 27, I believe, so it'll still be under my frame rails, not sticking out in the wheel well. And it was $180 and change. All made in America. It's all TIG welded. These brackets came on it. The sway bar itself is made by Schroeder. I believe they make sprint car parts, made in USA. And when you look this up, you can buy different, they're tunable. It's a torsion bar, they call it, like an old Chrysler front end, and you can buy bigger ones that are firmer. And if you really wanted to get scientific, in this case, in a drag race application, you're just trying to, kill some of the body roll. And so really can't complain about the quality. Again, it's almost free because I was trying to spend $1,000 and get $200 off last week. Black Friday sale at Speedway Motors. So I took it all out of the box, and the bushings do not come installed. I got out, my buddy Charlie gave me a infrared heater on permanent loan. It's got the big rig you hold with a button, and it's got a coil. So you can see how in about 15 seconds I got that hot enough to turn it blue, and that allowed me to just push the bushings in. But I still need to give it a quick hone job because it's pretty tight. I'm afraid if I got the shaft in there, it rides right here next to the splines, it's not gonna move. Over time, I'm sure it will, but I just soon start not in a bind. But the arms are beautiful. The only thing I don't like is the links that go down to the rear end. They're not right and left-handed, and they're kind of short, but I build Hurst shifter rods out of 3/8 fine thread rod ends, left and right hand, so I can make any length that I need, so I didn't let that hold me back. So this project's just starting in its infancy. I just took it out of the package today and worked on the bushings and whatnot. While I had the infrared heater out, my main reason for using it, I hadn't used it yet. It was missing a couple of parts, but I got those coming thanks to McMaster Car. A couple of little plastic knobs that hold the electrode in. But the 496, despite being only 2 years old, and I can see they had probably Indian shellac on it. Whatever it was really anchored the, well, these are the coolant drains, these two. They're got a hex in them. And my buddy that I bought the engine from was afraid he's going to strip them out. But I stuck the infrared just over this next to the block, 15 seconds. And I had a half drive Allen socket with a pretty big ratchet, and it just fell apart. I'd tried it without it, and I was going to strip it out. So those came right out. Those are actually still usable, no damage. I'll probably, being thrifty that I am, because I spend, for instance, a lot of my day today digging through my plastic shoe boxes looking for stuff like that. So today I want to throw it away. Later on, I'll be glad I didn't. While I was working on it, right at eye height, working on the coolant drains, I noticed above the oil filter, there's a plug where you can tap in for a gauge or whatever. It had an Allen socket type plug in 3/8. Those are 1/4 inch NPT. This is 3/8 NPT, National Pipe Thread. I noticed that in the hex, in the square, this might have been a square, because a socket was broken off in, or an end of a ratchet or a socket, 3/8 drive, and I could wiggle it because it probably has a little, detent like that. That was inside that. You think I could pop that out of there? No, I couldn't. So I welded a nut on it and took the whole thing out. Even when it was cherry red, I believe that's the black former gasket, Indian head shellac, whatever they call it. That's a brand, I believe. Really locked it in there, but she's out, so that's okay. Stuck. Coming around. I think it's time for a new button. Over in this mess, when I talked about the cylinder heads in the last video, I left out some information. I added it to the comments. However, let's just do it live. The part number is AFR 3001. And the casting, despite being offshore, is guaranteed for life for defects, unless you modify it. So fortunately, you saw me match up the intake gasket to it. I'm not going to do any grinding or anything on it. I'm going to run it as is. And if anything ever goes wrong, allegedly, they'll give you another head. So I got my Jomar stud girdle in the mail yesterday afternoon. I didn't read the fine print. Another late at night purchase. Every other stud girdle you look at, for the most part, comes with the adjusting nuts because they're tall. These things here that go down inside the roller rockers, these don't come with nuts. You got to buy them separate. Thus putting the cost of the beautiful stud girdle as much or more as everybody else's. Now I see why it was less money. It's still $239 or whatever. Now I got to buy another, $80, $90 worth of adjusting nuts. I found, again, going through boxes today, I thought I had 2 sets. I found this set, so at least I can make sure this actually fits my cylinder head, because a lot of time they move the valves around and this won't fit because the big block's already at odd angles, whereas like a small block, everything's in line. But they do fit, so I know that much anyway. These nuts afforded me the ability to make sure that works, and I can now go ahead. I don't have the head gaskets yet, but I'll probably check it without it. I need to check piston to head clearance and piston to valve clearance, so when I do get my gaskets, parts are trickling in every day, I'll be good to go to just go ahead and put the heads on and move forward. All I got left to do to the block is do a little touch up on the paint. All right, this button's driving me nuts. Finally, over here on the front end of the chassis, I ordered this steering box about a week and a half ago. It got lost somewhere in the postal system in Indiana. It came from California. But when it finally showed up today in my mailbox, I went out to get it. My poor mailbox was listing to one side. I bought the box and the pitman arm together, and a couple things I knew going in, like on the Speedway site, they sell a pitman arm for a 5/8 bolt that you would use with the rod ends. And they sell the double tapered one, 7 degrees, so you could put the Ford style end in from either direction. Thinking about that, I had 2 drag links. I think the shorter of the 2 is going to work. As I got messing around with it, I got thinking today, why can't I, because I decided to take one of my Ford ends and put it in the pitman arm, because I think this is a safer deal, I guess. Although the rod end, if it was to fail, I have a washer and the arm on either side. If it completely broke, it can't fall out. If the bolt broke, you know, maybe, but the same, I don't know. This is more the norm, this is what we're used to. So why don't I just make a little short bung, got a lot of meat to work with, just to weld on these flat steering arms, and I can run this style in the other 3 positions. And in this scenario now, I got 3 rod ends and 1 Ford style end, and easy enough, I believe. I got to pull the front axle out anyway, because I'll probably weld a tapered bung on the bottom of the arm, but maybe they even sell it. I haven't looked, but I think it'd be a simple matter to build one. If I don't have the tapered ream, I think my brother does. So I was not expecting the box to have like a chrome cap and stuff on it. Normally I wouldn't care, but it seems like a nice box. I've had to steer it back and forth to center it, and it seems to go okay. So when I drove the Model A a few weeks ago, it had a similar box in it, and it actually drove really nice. So time will tell. I'm pretty sure I'm going to run this front axle, which is spring behind. I have all the sheet metal here. I could go measure the cab and the fender, because I haven't given up running the stock fenders. I don't think I want to, but if everything happened to fall into place and the tire was in the middle of the wheel well, I mean, that would look pretty cool sitting on the ground nice and low. So good chance it's going to be an open wheel front end with a 36 Ford grill. But I like to keep my options open, and apparently I like to keep myself in suspense, because I could measure it. The fenders are outside, the cab's in the trailer. In about 10 minutes I could tell you if it fit or not. But either way, that's it for tonight. It's getting dark. That catches you up for a moment anyway, and I'll talk to you soon.